beautiful TPUSA HQ in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm John Root, and this is the Breakaway podcast. I'm sitting next to my best sports buddy, Brian Farnsworth. How are you?
Oh, I am fat and happy returning from Thanksgiving weekend.
Oh, man, before we dive into, we had some Thanksgiving football games. We got a lot of NBA, NFL. NCAA football is getting crazy right now.
Best time of the year.
But before we get into all that stuff, America Fest. It's coming up this next month. I can't believe that we're at the end of November right now, too. Like, where did this year go? It's insane.
I have a theory. It's 2020 crept by so slow. 2021 just zoomed.
Oh, my gosh, the zoomies. But you got to get tickets for America Fest. TPUSA.com/AmericaFest. Use promo code John, Jon. 25% off, baby. There's going to be a lot of big-time athletes there. Michael Chandler is going to be there. We also have a huge episode with Michael Chandler. I go one-on-one with him. That's coming out this Sunday, December 5th. But once again, get tickets. You can see Michael Chandler, Steve Weatherford, Super Bowl champion, is going to be there, and so much more. So let's start with this. I'm going to just come out hot and just say,
give it, lay it on us.
Just like the turkey, just coming out hot out the oven right there. Thanksgiving football games were pretty fantastic. Like 2 out of the 3 were good, and I was just slumped in my couch watching football all day. I'm sorry, Mom, that I did not do enough work on the Thanksgiving dinner. Shout out to them. Mama Root,
Shout out to Mama
my
Root.
brand new sister-in-law, Marnie, and then shout out to my sister in blood, Natalie. They did a fantastic job putting that Thanksgiving dinner together, but the football games, I was sitting there and I was enjoying my time.
Yeah, I mean, I even enjoyed Bears-Lions, which is, this year
Who would've
especially. Yeah, who would have thought? But it came down to the wire. There was a lot of actual movement and activity in it. I feel so bad though for Coach Matt Nagy, because even the broadcasters for like a significant portion of the game were talking about like, oh well, a lot of fans are speculating if this is going to be his last game coaching. And I was just like, wow, dude, that is awful. If it's gotten to the point in the season where these guys, I mean, the Chris Collinsworth, Joe Buck type dudes in the world, they don't want to talk about a coach getting fired. In fact, I'm pretty sure they try to avoid that stuff.
Oh, of course.
But it was a major talking point. I feel
Especially during the holidays too. It's like, hey, we're trying to keep things like pretty cheerful, but Matt Nagy
is about to lose his job.
It's not like he's got one foot out the door. It's like, no, he's like 90% out the door, and they're ready to just boot the guy.
Yeah, no.
But they got a big win there. And how about Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle?
Coming in hot.
Hello, how the heck are you?
And he needed that. Andy Dalton needed that because there's a lot of the doubters, a lot of the haters out there. And while I am not myself Andy Dalton aficionado, I think he deserves a spot in the league. A backup spot, but a spot.
I think so, too. I mean, the Bears thought that. Remember when they tweeted out QB1?
Yeah, right at the beginning of the season.
They got roasted. I feel like that was just a great job by their social media team. They're like,
So
we know
good.
we put out QB1. We're going to get roasted online. But pray for a Lions fan today and pretty much every day, because at that point, Thanksgiving Day, it'd been 354 days since the Lions had won a football game. And they had a good chance to win this one.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like Jared Goff, if we just talk just a hot minute about it, gets way too much flack. Like, I don't feel like he is an elite quarterback or anything, but I really don't think he was that bad with the Rams. It's just you're going to compare him to Matt Stafford, who I felt was an elite quarterback, but you just didn't know because he was stuck in Detroit for so long. But gosh, he's got nothing.
The problem with Jared Goff is that we end up coming to what I like to refer to as the Joe Flacco conundrum. Okay, Joe Flacco was not an elite quarterback. He wasn't. But he could become elite for stretches, moments in time that you can still build around a guy like that enough to win a Super Bowl. He's just on that threshold of just barely a good enough quarterback to win a Super Bowl around. I don't think Jared Goff meets that threshold, and that's the problem with him. I completely agree. He receives way too much flack. I mean, he's a Pac-12 guy. I gotta have some love for that. But I don't think you can ever, and I mean ever, win a Super Bowl.
Speaking of the Pac-12 too, we're going to talk about their new hire in a little bit.
Spicy.
But going off of Joe Flacco, NBC had a few little things to say about quarterbacks and what teams are looking for. And it was, gosh, man, I just don't understand the narrative that sometimes these media outlets try to push. They were talking about the black quarterback, and that became a huge topic of discussions with Chris Collinsworth and Mike Tirico last night. And they even brought up a little Colin Kaepernick, and I'm like, why do we keep bringing this guy up? He had like a good season and a half. And then Lamar Jackson, he's been fantastic. He's been really good since he's coming into the league, and I think they're totally trying to change the whole idea of the quarterback. But last night, Lamar Jackson was garbage.
Terrible.
He was really bad. And I'm glad that he admitted it, so he went after. And for some reason, NBC not only was talking about Colin Kaepernick too much last night, they made Lamar Jackson the player of the game.
Which, okay, in his defense, if you compared him to Cam Newton, then his performance was player of the game worthy.
Oh, my gosh. Well, Cam Newton, now it's just, I know we've been keeping you up to date with the Cam Newton revenge tour. Last night, I know you were putting this in the script here. This is tough. Like, this is hard to read and look at. He was 5 for 21, 2 interceptions, 5.8 QBR, and 1 meaningless rushing touchdown. 23.8% is the lowest completion percentage by a former MVP. The worst completion percentage in NFL history with a minimum of 20 attempts. Woof.
It's absolutely just terrible. It was one of the worst performances I've ever seen in my life. It hurt me as a fan of the game, and it hurt my soul inside watching. I mean, I was just so glad that I was watching the Red Zone channel so that I only had to, permit it for like 20 seconds at a time.
You can never get enough Scott Hansen, too. I feel like that guy's an absolute legend.
Oh, absolute legend. But yeah, I kind of distracted you by making fun of Cam Newton when you were talking about the Browns-Ravens game, because last night's game really was wild in the fact that these were supposed to be like two of the better teams in the AFC. And I mean, if anybody watched last night's game, you can't walk away from that going like, yeah, these are a couple of Super Bowl contenders from the AFC. It just doesn't feel like that.
It was another snooze fest, though. Like, the Ravens, they are boring to watch. They have been. Like, it's especially after, like, they had a good start. And then now it's like they've had some primetime games that are just not fun. I mean, this whole game, too, the end of that second quarter and then the majority of that second quarter was the worst. Like, it was just turnover after turnover, and Baker's got nobody left. OBJ is gone. Like, who is he supposed to throw to now? Like, Jarvis Landry had a really big game, had over 100 yards receiving, but they can't find the end zone. And what are you going to do? Just Jarvis Landry and Njoku? And then Chubb, like, they stopped him running. And the Kareem Hunt, that was he was so underused. And they were talking about that during the broadcast.
Yeah.
It was like, this guy came out, and he was a threat running the ball and catching the ball out of the backfield. What are we doing with Kareem Hunt?
Well, and so, I mean, once again, another Browns player's dad, Kareem Hunt Sr., got on Facebook last night and started bashing the Browns. And
a crazy boomer on Facebook? Are you kidding
what?
me?
No. Wait. Breaking news. People's parents are on Facebook.
No way.
But and he was, and honestly, his post wasn't even that bad. But he was kind of going off against the Browns offense, specifically Baker Mayfield, and saying like, why are you going to put this guy out there? He's clearly scared to throw the ball. And he did like reference the fact that like, Baker's clearly not healthy, which everybody knows. The broadcasters talk about Baker Mayfield's heel more than anybody needed to hear about last night. But that's a bad problem. You have OBJ's dad a few weeks ago that leads to the free OBJ movement. And then last night, Kareem Hunt Sr., this is a problem. When have we ever seen a bunch of players' dads using social media to like talk out about how bad the offenses are? It's unheard of.
Well, he's right.
And he's
100% right. And that's what I love is just like you have social media now. And obviously social media has just led to so much garbage. And there's so much crap online. But it's actually kind of fun to talk about parents because it reminds me of high school. Like, I don't know what your dad was like at all, like during high school or something. My dad was insane. Like, and if my dad was on social media, Like, I don't think he'd throw out a bunch of like profane stuff. No way. But he would like, he already had way too much to say, and the whole arena or stadium could hear him every single one of my games, especially in high school. But if he was on social media, he would be like Kareem Hunt's dad. He really would be.
See, John and I had a different high school experience. He was playing sports. I was in student council.
But this guy loved watching sports. I'll tell you that for sure.
Big sports guy.
But the crazy stat about last night is since 2015, no team had won an NFL game throwing 4 or more interceptions. Those teams were 0-52, and the Ravens found a way to
all
win
time? Or wait, no.
Since 2015, teams were 0-52.
The Russell Wilson Green Bay Packers playoff game, right?
Yeah,
I remember that game.
The championship
He
game.
threw like 4 picks in the first half. Mm-hmm. Then he broke down in tears after the game. It was actually one of those few moments where I was like, wow, I like this Russell Wilson guy. He's pretty cool.
But the Ravens do, like, they are finding ways to win games, and they are just disgusting. They're gross.
Yeah,
they're really bad, kind of like candy corn. Like it's that gross. But in one-score games this season, the Ravens are 6-1, and then the Bucks are 4-0, and Titans are 4-1. And as we wrap up, just a little recap about Sunday Night Football, going back to NBC. Chris Collinsworth always has some ridiculous things to say. He's my least favorite broadcaster by far, 100%. I've already professed my love to Joe Buck a little bit. I know you didn't like that.
You have.
I don't really think Joe Buck is that bad, but Chris Collinsworth was talking about, like, the whole quarterback situation, and all these teams are trying to look for a Tom Brady, and how many of those are you really going to find? And you need quarterbacks that can run a little bit and not just like drop back. And it's like, who wins Super Bowls? Mm-hmm. And if you're going to try to use some sort of comparison about like, well, too many teams are looking for that Tom Brady, look at Mac Jones right now. Yeah. That's a Tom Brady-like player, and he's not super mobile, but I just didn't. Their whole conversation about that felt like it was almost a time filler, and I wish there was like someone else that could just jump in and say, hey, guys, real quick, none of this makes sense. I know that we're watching a horrible football game between the Browns and the Ravens, but if you're going to start bringing this kind of stuff up, realize who's been winning championships and what's the prolific, like what's the most like prolific like quarterback you can think of.
Well, and even more on top of that, like what it makes me think of is the fact that you have last year specifically. Thinking about guys who were in the league and a little more mobile, Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow, and both of them had bad injuries. And what we've seen now this year, because both the Cowboys and the Bengals are good football teams and are getting really good play out of their quarterbacks, what are they not doing as much as previous years? Running the ball. They're staying back in the pocket and just being a quarterback. I like, mobile quarterbacks. Obviously, I'm an Arizona Cardinals fan. I love Kyler Murray. And the little guy, when his legs are just moving out there so fast, it's fantastic. But at the end of the day, I want my quarterback to be a quarterback. I don't want him to be a running back. And I'm not trying to throw shade at Lamar, because I think Lamar is great. But, I want a quarterback that can step back in the, drop back three steps and deliver a strike into the end zone. And if you don't have that, you're not going to win a Super Bowl, just like you said. Exactly.
And then also, too, if you're going to start playing like some of these big-time teams like the Packers, and you play them in the playoffs, and you could be playing them in Lambeau, you're not going to be running around in the snow, or you're not going to be really running around in the cold. You need people that are going to drop back. But now this comes down to, you brought up the Cardinals. I just brought up the Packers. Who is the best team in the NFL?
Well, John, we're gonna go with the Arizona Cardinals. Okay, and I know, I know, it goes against my better judgment. It does, because I'm a realist. To where the Arizona Cardinals did not beat the Green Bay Packers, but it was a little fluky.
But they should have beat the Packers 100%. If AJ Green was not in just some alternate universe for a couple seconds, you guys would have won that game.
Oh, absolutely. And with a couple of other teams falling off or like losing a little bit of steam, we're at a point right now where it really kind of feels like the Cardinals and the Packers world and everybody else is living in it. Even the Bucks don't look like Tom Brady hasn't been as sharp. And I think it's Antonio Brown being gone. But the Titans team, has completely, the wheels have fallen off.
Oh,
I feel so bad for them.
Well, basically their limbs are almost falling off. Everybody's getting hurt. It's a disaster.
Absolutely. It's a complete disaster. So I'm going to, we have the best record, and that's why, and we'll talk NBA later. But in the NBA, even with the Suns being as hot as they are, I still defer to the team with the best record. If you want to be the best, beat the best. And until you got a better record, Green Bay, I'm sorry, I'm going to go with Arizona Cardinals.
You're going to really dislike me for this. I'm going to say the best team in football right now is the Green Bay Packers, just because they've been healthy. I think
just because you want to disagree with me.
Just because I want to disagree with you. I know it's been a long, long week back at home, just a lot of turkey, a lot of good family time, and I knew I needed to come in here and just get things off to a really good start. Rub you the wrong way. I think the Packers, the reason I think they're the best team right now is because they've been able to, somehow, stay healthy, and they've won some big games since their since that game against the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaron Rodgers, he is the MVP front runner right now. That's what I would say. Like COVID toe and all.
Mr. Bad Toe.
Yeah, Mr. Bad Toe. They're 9-3, and I saw this pretty incredible stat. They're 9-0 following a loss with Matt LaFleur.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah,
great coaching job.
Yeah, in his tenure with the Green Bay Packers, they haven't lost. They haven't lost after a loss. No back-to-back losses. It almost seems like the old, maybe 2015, 2016 Golden State Warriors, where you just never saw them lose back-to-back games.
Yeah, John, that's pretty interesting. But let me ask you a different question.
Okay.
During Aaron Rodgers' time at quarterback, what is his playoff record against the Arizona Cardinals?
Probably not that good. You need to tell me.
Pretty sure it's 0-2.
Ooh.
Lost to the fabulous Kurt Warner, and then he also lost to Carson Palmer.
Kurt Warner, that new movie coming out, too. I'm kind of excited about
American Underdog.
The actor kind of looks like he has no idea how to throw a football, but I think it's going to be an inspiring story.
They always bring in people who have never thrown a ball in their life, and it's hilarious. I think it'll be good though. They got a good cast. I think Sam Levy is the actor's name. He's a good guy.
Well, sorry to cut you off. Well, keep going.
No,
talking
but
about your Arizona
all I'm
Cardinals.
saying is, history's not going to favor you when the Packers meet the Cardinals in the playoffs. I hope it's going to be in the NFC playoff game.
But I think I could totally be wrong. Like you could have the Arizona Cardinals come back healthy. Kyler Murray's back. DeAndre Hopkins. I really hope J.J. Watt finds a way to get back.
Hey, well.
We're going to talk about him a little bit later in the show, too. But who is the hottest team in the NFL? My opinion, and I think pretty much everybody's opinion, should be the New England Patriots, and that should scare the crap out of everyone. They look good. Mac Jones, he doesn't just look like an offensive player of the year. He's starting to look almost like an MVP quarterback.
It's funny because I completely agree, and he looks like a veteran out there. I cannot remember the last time I've seen a rookie quarterback step out onto the field and just not look like a rookie at all. He made from what I can remember of the game yesterday, he made one throw that it was just so errant, so just poor decision that I was like, oh yeah, that's a rookie. The rest of the game, though, I was like, who is this guy? Who is this guy that pops out onto the field and just from day one look like he looks like he belongs there? And that's the important part, is Mac Jones looks like he belongs on a team that's ready to compete, and they are in the number 2 seed in the AFC right now. Who would have thunk at the beginning of the year?
No, they are on fire, and I think it should scare the entire league.
It should.
They look good, and then someone like Mac Jones, him in the play action is so impressive. So you talk about like that one errant throw and everything, but I think they have so many different weapons in New England constantly. Like you watch a New England Patriots game, you'll see Mac Jones. He's 6 for 7, and he's throwing it to 5 different receivers. Yeah. That's the way it works, and I think they set up their run game so well that they've just set him up to succeed. And he's been a great leader, and he's been able to take that team to new heights. But another team that actually is really surprising, San Francisco 49ers of Santa Clara. Like, look at these guys go. Like, yesterday they had a big win against the Vikings. They decided to win at home. I was talking about that last week. They were 1-4 at home. And it's just like, well, what are they going to do? You said the COVID curse, and they might be breaking that ever since you broke that up.
Yeah.
Brought that up.
I bring it up one time, and then they make me look like an idiot. Well, the Niners are getting healthy. Mm-hmm. George Kittle obviously came back a few weeks ago. Elijah Mitchell was a little banged up, but he's looking to be okay now. Obviously, last year they had all sorts of defensive line issues of guys just getting banged up. Bosa, Armstead. What's important is that this year they're finally healthy as a team. And Shanahan's a good coach. I guess fill in the blank for me on this one.
Until the second half of a Super Bowl.
Until he takes his foot off the gas. Shanahan is a top blank coach in the NFL. Top what?
At this point, I'm going to put him in just like the top 15. He just hasn't done enough. And then he's one of those guys too. Like he's an offensive mastermind, no doubt. And he's been able to do a lot with a little. And the Niners were just decimated with injuries last year. A lot of people forget that. But I don't know. He could easily move into the top 10 after a few other good games. But
yeah, I don't know. I have a hard time thinking that there are like 8 to 10 other guys that I would rather have over Shanahan coaching.
Well, because if we're talking about head coach, I mean, you can talk about like talk about like an offensive coordinator and everything. Like as an offensive coordinator, I think he's definitely top 10. But like as a head coach, putting it all together, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of
how many guys would I really want over him? Obviously, I'd want Cliff, McVay, probably LaFleur, Tomlin. Obviously, Belichick. I got 5.
We'd have to look at a list of head coaches.
Yeah, but I feel like, is there anybody else who immediately comes to your mind that's like, oh, I'd rather have that coach?
Honestly, right now, no. And that might be coming off of vacation and not being able to think straight at all.
Oh, Andy Reid, yeah.
Yeah, Andy Reid, of course.
Sean Payton, Bruce Arians. So, and that's 8 right there. Okay, so there, I think I can come to 8 guys.
So if I say like top 15, like he could easily be in that like 11 to 15 range. He could be 11. But.
Yeah, sure. But I'm just like a lot of people have been giving Shanahan flack. John Root included. Apparently,
yeah, as you should. He broke my heart.
And I just don't know. Like, I mean, I don't like people talking about like coaches who should lose their job. When, for me, the big question is, who are you gonna replace this guy with? Like, these incredible, young, offensive-minded, can scheme around anybody type guys. They don't just come out of nowhere, and that's why like half of the great new young head coaches in the league, anyways, come off of the Shanahan tree. Like they learned under him. But I don't know. So
I mean, a few other guys too, like Pete Carroll. I'd probably put him.
Not at this point. I wouldn't.
Maybe. I mean, I think I still would. Like he's too legendary. He's too good. And then Bruce Arians, I'd put him above Kyle Shanahan right now. But let's talk about the MVP race. Holy smokes. Colts run the dang ball. You have a guy that went off for 5 touchdowns the week before.
Yeah.
5 touchdowns. And, dude, they were owning the Bucs in the first half. They looked great. They looked good. They were controlling the tempo, time of possession, everything. Carson Wentz looked like he was back to his old MVP self. And then, I mean, obviously you have a team like the Bucs. The reason they're so good is because they make adjustments at halftime, and they know how to come back and win games.
Yeah.
But the Colts, man, your strength is running the football. You have maybe the MVP on your team, and you weren't running the football. Look at the last drive they had to tie up the game. They also left way too much time for Tom Brady. You can't do that. The guy that has more game-winning drives than anyone in NFL history. He has 9 more game-winning drives than anyone else in NFL history. But the Colts run the ball. Why are you not doing that? But I think still, even with that last drive and getting that touchdown, Jonathan Taylor is still in the MVP hunt, I think. Aaron Rodgers at the top of that. He went 28 for 45, 307, 2 passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. So, I mean, those two guys. Josh Allen obviously had a big game during Thanksgiving. Yikes. The Saints, that was tough. Obviously, the Saints were missing a lot of people, but Josh Allen, he really helped his MVP there. Mahomes has got a week off. I think he's in the running too. And then Tom Brady and Lamar Jackson, I think their stock is going down.
Definitely going down. What I find interesting is here we are. We just wrapped up week 12. Obviously, we have 18 weeks now in the NFL. And I'm thinking about the fact that we are 12 weeks deep, and nobody's really separated themselves from the pack in the MVP race. And that is semi-typical, but that's semi-typical for through weeks 1 through 6, 1 through 8. We're kind of getting late in the season for us not to really have a vibe of oh, give this man the MVP already. With Lamar, I remember it was after that week 11-ish game against the Bengals when he had that incredible spin move that everyone was okay, lock it down. The MVP, we know it's Lamar. Obviously, and we've seen that. But right now, it's kind of exciting that wait, we're gonna have to see some football down the stretch to know who our MVP is.
And then I think as we wrap up the NFL, there's some quick hits that I definitely want to go through. Jimmy G, there's been some trade rumors about him, and that was before this game against Minnesota. And they're saying, hey, we might want to just trade Jimmy G and then Trey Lance, just let him take over. I don't know. I think they should start pumping the brakes with that. But who knows? His stock could be rising and say, hey, Jimmy G's going to stay healthy. And when he's healthy, your team can win games. It could be – there's also no clear NFL favorite. And a couple things I do want to hit on. How in the world does Mason Crosby still have a job kicking the football in the NFL? I know we're going to show up something on the screen here, how many field goals this guy has missed. I know this is another one here. This is actually talking about OBJ. We'll get to that in a second. But Mason Crosby has missed 9 field goals. 9.
It's pitiful. 9
field goals, and they need a good kicker down the stretch.
Well, and you need somebody who you can rely on in playoffs. Obviously, so many playoff games because it's two teams that bring a lot of emotion. The defenses play hard. Playoff games get decided by field goals all the time. I mean, the Eagles wouldn't have a Super Bowl win, in their history if it wasn't for the Bears double doink. You get a kicker, and it wasn't even from that far out. That was a 39-yard field goal. If you had a kicker who would have just hit that field goal, the Eagles' season would have been over first round of the playoffs. Boom, we never have the Philly special. We never have any of that. Kickers matter. And Mason Crosby is one of the worst ones in the NFL right now. It's bad.
Oh, it's been horrible. And then also apologies to our productions team back here too, our producers back there. I said I had something that we could throw on the screen for Mason Crosby.
And it's a good one.
I'm a liar. I'm a big-time liar. But we're going to throw that OBJ and Devontae Adams quote up there too, because that was so fun, because I know Devontae Adams was recruiting OBJ hard. And then after the game, there's usually a jersey swap. But Devontae Adams said he needed a jersey after the game. I told him, go get Cooper Kupp's jersey, since that's who you want to be with. Ooh, shade. And that was hilarious to me. OBJ had a big-time touchdown. But do you feel like he made the right decision to go to L.A.? Because I think he did, because, I mean, you think of OBJ, that guy's got Hollywood written all over him.
No, I didn't think he made the right decision. I was a believer in he should have gone to the Pack. I could pull up my tax receipts to prove it. I was completely in on, if he goes to the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers will be able to use him better than anybody else, and he will probably win a Super Bowl. And because it's also that the Packers needed a guy like OBJ. Basically, who's running that role right now is Randall Cobb, who's old as the hills at this point for a wide receiver.
Yep.
And while he had a great game this week, Randall Cobb really put it together. He's only going to give that to you, once every few weeks. OBJ, I think, with a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers could have been giving that type of performance week in and week out, and it would have opened up Davante Adams a lot more. Nah, I'm with Davante Adams. He should have gone to the Pack, and if he didn't, well, that's tough on you. Bye-bye. We'll beat you in playoffs.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there because it could have turned into how Tom Brady's utilized Antonio Brown and really kept him in check. I think Aaron Rodgers could have done that with OBJ, but hey, we will see. Couple more things. I don't think Matt Stafford's okay, like body-wise, like physically or mentally.
No.
He's had 3 straight games with a pick six. And you know the last person to throw 3 straight pick sixes?
It's got to be Jameis.
Not Jameis.
Oh.
Matt Schwab. Yikes.
Of the legendary Houston Texan?
Oh, yeah. Legendary. And then finally, too, going back to Thanksgiving Day, the Raiders-Cowboys game was the most watched NFL game since 1990. CBS said that the game brought in an estimated viewership of almost 39 million. So that's big time. And also,
still America's team.
They are definitely still America's team. People love that. They love their good turkey. They love hanging with family, and they love watching football. All right, speaking of football, we got some college football. There were some legendary games, but before we get to that, we had some new hires. Florida decided to hire Bill Napier. He turned down some SEC offers, in the past. I know we were talking about that. And no, I'm sorry, Robert Griffin III. They are not going to hire Tim Tebow. He said that on a broadcast. It's like, yeah, sure, it'd be nice. Like,
I'm all for it, though.
Yeah, I love Tim Tebow, but sure, if you want Tim Tebow to be a little bit more involved with Florida, like, just have him just be a player development guy, Mr. Inspiration, come in a few things, but like, don't have him coaching the team. I understood what he was trying to get at, but Bill Napier, I think that's going to be a fun hire.
Yeah, no, Billy Napier, I'm a little bit acquainted with him because for 1 year he was the offensive coordinator for Arizona State University. And it was the last year that we had Todd Graham as the head coach before we brought in Herm Edwards. He runs a good offense. That year we beat a few pretty highly ranked team. We beat Washington when they were ranked number 5. We beat Oregon when they were a top 25 ranked team. He can really coach up a good offense. And it's proving, like you had said, he's had a lot of interest from other SEC teams, but he's been holding off. He's been waiting. He's been with the Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns for 4 seasons now, and the last 3 straight seasons, he's had 10-win campaigns. That's really, really good. Playing over in that part of the country, the fact that you can be putting together, 30 wins over the last 3 seasons, that's huge. And he coached under Dabo Swinney. He coached under Nick Saban. This is a guy who, he didn't come out of nowhere. He's got roots. He knows how to coach. I think he's actually going to do a fantastic job for Florida, which is a good thing. I think there are a few programs around the country that when those programs are good, college football is better for it, and Florida's one of those. But another one of those is USC.
USC. The funny part about Florida, while we're moving into USC, is Florida was in the news for like 13 seconds. Just like, hey, look at our new hire. We're so excited. And then USC is like,
hold my beer.
Lincoln Riley, how are you? Well, welcome to the team. And he is going to – they've even had some players that have decommitted from Oklahoma.
Not yet.
Well, I think they had one.
Did they have one?
I think they had one. I think I was watching last night. I was watching Scott Van Pelt. Also, Scott Van Pelt – I think he might be my favorite just sports commentator on TV.
Like the Tucker Carlson of sports.
Literally. No, he literally is. He is so fun to watch. And he was talking about Lincoln Riley last night and everything he said last week where I know they had a press conference and Lincoln Riley's like, I'm not going to be the next head coach of LSU. Not going to happen. And it's like, all right,
he was being honest.
He wasn't lying, but I think that is going to take USC to another level. And like you said, college football is way better when USC is on the map. I know we were watching some legendary games when we were younger, especially when we were junior high and high school, when you watched the likes of Reggie Bush. Matt Leinart was an absolute legend. Carson Palmer was a lot of fun. USC needs to get back on track, and I think they can do it with Lincoln Riley.
I completely agree with you. And a Pac-12 sports writer tweeted out last night. He said this is the best college football hire in Pac-12 history.
Ooh.
And for a hot second, I was like, no. And then I thought about it, and I really, really I can't figure out what would be a bigger hire at the time. Obviously, we've had guys like Pete Carroll, USC as well, get hired, come in, do all this. But at the time, it was like, oh, Pete Carroll's this retread NFL head coach who didn't work out, tried coaching with the Jets, tried coaching with the Patriots, didn't work out. And so he was kind of washed. And I racked my brain, and I couldn't come up with it. This probably is, in the history of Pac-12 football, this is the biggest hire. I mean, SEC teams, LSU, they were, really trying to get this guy. He left Oklahoma. But what it comes down to, and this is what cracks me up, I really think Lincoln Riley wants nothing to do with the SEC.
I 100% agree with how strong the SEC is, and moving there. It's like, I think he thought his legacy was going to get tarnished, and he sees an opening at USC. I think it's a smart move. Like, that was a legacy move, no doubt.
Absolutely. Well, because what we've seen from Lincoln Riley teams is he can't really recruit that much defensive talent. The defenses never really play all that well, but it's elite offensive talent. And Colin Cowherd made this point, and while I'm not normally a Colin Cowherd guy, Colin, a blind squirrel finds its nut, So he's right every once in a while. Every once in a while. There are certain jobs in college football you want. Basically, you want to have the best job in whatever conference you're in. In the SEC, it's Alabama. In the Big Ten, it was Oklahoma, but they're joining the SEC. In the Pac-12, it's USC. It's not Oregon. I don't care what anybody says. The best job is USC. And if you do well there, it's a fast track to being, picked up for the NFL.
Also, by the way, give Reggie Bush his Heisman back. That's what I'll say about USC. Also, I know the Sooners, speaking of the Sooners, I think there's rumors that they're targeting Cliff Kingsbury, the head coach of your favorite Arizona Cardinals. Are they going to do it? He's got 1 year left on his contract after this season, but I think those are just rumors. Those are, I don't know,
look, John,
substantiated.
This is what happens. Adam Schefter, he gets all his inside information from all his little sources. Who's going to be one of his biggest sources? Agents. And so what this is, and we know Adam Schefter does back door stuff like this because we saw it from those leaked emails. I guarantee what it is in exchange for information, he agrees with agents to put this stuff out. I would bet you the person who leaked this to him was Cliff Kingsbury's agent, because you want to know what the Arizona Cardinals are going to do? They're going to jack up that guy's salary because they don't want to lose him. And now they're not really in danger of losing him. He's in the NFL. It's all football. He doesn't have to go recruiting, but he doesn't have to go. Are you
saying Adam Schefter is getting some kickbacks? That's
not necessarily kickbacks.
That would be a major hot take.
Oh, that would be a major hot take. The kickback is
Adam Schefter buys a multi-million-dollar mansion after a just series of tweets about Cliff Kingsbury.
and it's not a monetary kickback. The kickback is information.
Yeah.
And because the agent will make more money if Cliff Kingsbury's salary goes up.
Yeah, I think it's a great call. If that's actually what's happening, that would be absolutely genius. But the Iron Bowl, was that the game of the year? Because we had another game to Michigan and Ohio State.
No, Michigan-Ohio State was better.
You think it was better? Because I wouldn't say you're wrong for that. But the Iron Bowl, this was one of the best Iron Bowls ever. I don't think it was as good as Kick Six. I know I tweeted out and said, hey, maybe best Iron Bowl ever, because I think it was the first time the Iron Bowl has ever gone to overtime.
That's wild.
Was really nuts. I know when I was watching that up there, I had a great weekend in Lake Tahoe, one of the most beautiful places on earth. And I'm watching this game like, this is nuts. Like, there's a Bo Nixless Auburn team that is taking Alabama to the brink. And Alabama, they couldn't score.
No,
they couldn't do it. But you need to break down the Auburn meltdown, because this was their game to win.
I feel so bad for these players, because obviously they want nothing more than to beat Alabama, the dynasty. And for 3.5 quarters, this defense just absolutely eviscerated that Alabama offense. It was a real David versus Goliath type thing. With 9 minutes left to go, Auburn led 10-0. With 30 seconds left to go, they still led 10-3, and they still managed to blow that lead. I mean, Was Kyle Shanahan coaching that team?
Dude, that's seriously what I was thinking there. I was like, this is an epic meltdown. Also, too, it's so funny to watch Alabama. If you watch them over the past decade or so, they could care less about the kicking game. They haven't had to care about the kicking game. But, I mean, they even had a muff snap that, so they missed out on a field goal, and they still found a way to win in 4 OT. Also, I really like college football's overtime.
Yeah.
I think that is something that we've talked about previously on this show. NFL overtime is an absolute joke. You randomly and luckily win a coin toss, you get the ball, and then if you go and score a touchdown, it's over. It's like, no, both teams should have a chance, and I think it leads to legendary outcomes like this. But the best game, in your opinion, I think I'm with you, the best game of not only the weekend, but the best game of the college football season so far was Michigan-Ohio State. Legendary rivalry, and it's snowing. It just feels poetic, and you got guys getting after it, and just right before they're running onto the field. Like, this rivalry is intense. It was fun, and Michigan, they needed to get a signature win. Jim Harbaugh, he knows that he has played horrible against top teams in college football, especially Ohio State, and he finally got a signature win. That was huge for Michigan, and that was huge for Jim Harbaugh, because it was like, why are you spending all this money on Jim Harbaugh if he's not going to get signature wins? And he found a way to do that.
Yeah. I mean, when the athletic director of Michigan sits down to hire a head coach, I will guarantee there are 3 goals up on that board. It's beat Michigan State, win national championships, and beat Ohio State. Those are the 3 things. If you can't do those things, you will get fired. So, and when I say win national championships, compete for national championships, there can only be one. But so that's what it was, the monkey on his back. You know, he couldn't beat it. He was 0-5 against Ohio State during his tenure. He needed this. And I've always loved Michigan, even as a kid. I'm not going to say I'm some Michigan fan, but there was just something about the uniforms, the helmets, that as a kid, like, always. And so I tend to root for them. I'm not really an Ohio State guy.
I root for them too. I don't know. There's something about them, especially too. You just see like the classic like Heisman pose.
Yeah.
We're always going to see that highlight, and then there's no place like the Big House. I was talking to my buddies about that. I was like, I seriously, I bring it up every single time I watch Michigan. Running out of that tunnel, and there's like 100,000 fans there. I could only imagine just the goosebumps and the butterflies you'd get just playing at the Big House. The place is incredible. In Michigan, I do agree. The unis, the history, there's something about them. So if you're going to pick between Michigan State and Michigan, for some reason, I'd lean towards Michigan every time.
Yeah. Well, but this is where, like, I hate to say it, but for Michigan fans, the tough part of this rivalry is the stars of Ohio State and their offense. They're young. C.J. Stroud, redshirt freshman. Travion Henderson, true freshman. Smith Najiba, he's a sophomore. Like, I mean, they're going to lose a couple of their other Olave and Wilson to the draft, a couple other wide receivers who are very, very talented. But those young stars who were really performing in that game, they still have college football ahead of them. And but with Michigan, Aiden Hutchinson, David Ojabo, they're both headed to the draft. Even Hassan Haskins also headed to the draft. Next year, if Michigan's going to compete against Ohio State, they're going to have new guys step up because Ohio State's they're still going to be kicking. Yeah,
the time is now, and I love this. Like, look at it, it's snowing, and they had Juwan Howard and Jim Harbaugh get together after the game. I thought that was such a special moment.
Incredible.
Because, like, those are 2 legendary coaches there. And then I think Jim Harbaugh, his college legend is only going to grow from here. It's either going to just tank, and this is going to be his only signature win, the only thing we talk about, or it's just going to be the springboard for him. And then obviously Michigan basketball is legendary, but like fans rushing the field too. Just the whole scene just looked amazing. I feel like that's why we love college football, and we're gonna throw that up right now too. Just look at that scene. Look at just a billion Michigan fans. Look at these guys just like going nuts. And I know you can't hear the audio, but they're playing Mr. Brightside So obviously the whitest song of all time.
I was gonna say, so a lot of white people there, huh?
But like, what an absolute scene, and it's so fun to watch. Also one thing too. Actually, couple things. Number one, just like I know producer Angelo back there saying, like, can you just imagine the leftists just cringing at home? Like, we got a new variant. I can't believe all these kids are
The
on
Omicron.
the field and they're yelling Mr. Brightside. It's like, just live your life. Go to college football games, freeze your booty off, and get big wins like that. Also, the ref cam from that. Did you see that?
That was incredible.
It was so sick.
I want that in every game.
I want it every game. Give it to me. That was fantastic. A couple more things for college football. Cincinnati's still alive, baby. They're going to be in the top 4.
I'm nervous about that.
Or they're going to stay in the top 4. And then Michigan, they're now going to be in the top 4. So you probably got it hasn't come out yet.
No.
But you got Georgia, Alabama, Michigan's going to be number 3, and then Cincinnati's going to be number 4.
I'm slightly worried that the playoff committee is going to get together and make it Georgia, Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State. And only move them down 2 spots because they could. And if we're being honest,
Ohio State's got to be out of the top 4.
I think
like
so.
This week, at least. I could see them pulling something crazy in the last week, but
True.
Right now there's no way you put them, a 2-loss team, over an undefeated Cincinnati team. I know strength of schedule is totally different. I know. Sorry for cutting you off.
No, you're fine.
But I know we have a love for Cincinnati, and this is like an underdog story, and they just keep winning games. Sure, they've had some close ones, but you can't tell me, College Football Playoff Committee, that Ohio State is going to stay in the top 4 after this loss.
It's why I was so just upset about the Iron Bowl meltdown by Auburn, because because it's one thing for Ohio State to lose against Michigan, who is obviously clearly a top 4 team in college football this year. It's an entirely another thing if Alabama lost to Auburn. They're out of the top 4, gone, and they're not coming back. This late in the season to lose to an unranked team, you're toast. You're done. And so I was like, let's go. If Bama loses, Cincy is in for sure. They can't lose this thing. But now I'm still just a little nervous that they're going to get screwed because I want Cincy to be in there so bad.
Yeah, and I can't wait for the college football talk this next week, too, because it is coming down to the wire. I know we're going to wrap up with this, is the SEC championship game next weekend. Georgia, Alabama, Saturday in the afternoon. If Alabama plays like they played this last week, Georgia is going to take them to the cleaners, and it's not even going to be close. And then Bama, who knows what's going to happen with their college football playoff hopes. But, I mean, I think they would probably still stay in the top 4. But if they get beat down, like I think they potentially could, because remember, too, Georgia scores a lot of points, and they do not give up points.
No.
So I'm interested to see that there. Last thing I do want to talk about college football. This was tough. There's good, bad, and ugly in college football. And this one with this Florida State kicker, they were doing an onside kick at the end of the game, and it's tough. Like, doing an onside kick, you're trying to figure out, do I kind of like squib it? Do I do a little bit of like a slow roller like Pat McAfee style, or do I try to get a couple bounces, kick it up? Look at this guy. Whiffed on the onside kick. Yikes. Like, I could only imagine what that was like on the sideline after this too. And also he was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school too. So this kicker doesn't mess around.
5-star kicker recruit, huh?
Yeah, 5-star. You know I love my kickers.
Did you hear the tragic news?
Oh no, what do you got?
So after that game, no, it was really rough. He tried to hang himself, but he couldn't kick the chair out.
Oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Farnsworth. All right, let's talk about the NBA. Lord. Warriors. You know my Warriors. Let's go, baby. 18-2, only team to score 100 points in every single game this season. Steph Curry, the MVP of the league.
Riding a 7-game streak, right?
Riding a 7-game streak. I know it's not as much as your Phoenix Suns.
Well, not everybody can be us.
Ooh, baby. Well, we're really going to find out what these teams are made of, because the Phoenix Suns, the Golden State Warriors, taking on each other tomorrow here in Phoenix. I can't wait.
Well, and it just feels so perfect. It feels like scripted because it's on a Tuesday. So inside the NBA, they've switched from during football season, instead of Thursday nights, they're doing it Tuesday nights, to where everything is set up for all national eyes to be on this game. I'm so excited. I can't remember being this excited for a regular season basketball game in I don't know how many years, because it's just obviously, the Warriors with Steph Curry, who, is just absolutely mauling his way to an MVP award.
The guy is, sorry to catch up, the guy's a cheat code.
100%.
The guy is absolutely insane. And when he got teed up yesterday, Steph Curry just never gets calls. He never gets called. You compare him and James Harden. James Harden has gotten so much garbage calls over the year. Steph does not get calls. So when he got in a ref's face,
so unlike him.
Yeah, it was really unlike him. I haven't seen him that angry, maybe ever. And I've watched like pretty much every single Golden State Warriors game over the last like 5 years. So I've seen him get angry. But fastest player to ever reach 100 threes in a single season. You know who the top three are? Steph Curry, Steph Curry, Steph Curry. So this season, it only took him 19 games to get to 100 threes. And then in 2015, the 2015-2016 season, 20 games. And in the 2018-2019 season, took him 20 games. The dude is unfreaking real.
Do you think once again he's going to break his own record for most threes in a single season?
Yeah. Oh, he's on pace to absolutely demolish it.
Which is crazy. When he set the first record, I remember being like, oh, nobody will beat this record. And then like one season later, he breaks, like not just breaks his own record, he shattered it. And then it was like, okay, but nobody's going to beat that one. And then here we are a few years later, and Steph, the chef, is back in the kitchen.
Oh, man. He is just absolutely buzzing right now. And when Steph Curry is going off, just move out of the way. It's like a runaway train. You just hope to slow him down. You can't stop the guy.
Well, there's somebody who's not going to move out of the way, and that is the point guard, CP3.
Ooh.
Tomorrow night, we're going to have a display of who most likely are, like, without question, the two best point guards of our generation, Steph Curry versus Chris Paul. And it's going to be both of them in their bag tomorrow.
You think old man can keep up? You think old man Chris Paul can keep up?
Look.
You know I'm going to throw some shade.
Is he gonna keep up on the scoring side? No, but he will be facilitating
always
the hell out of that ball. And okay, wait. Hot take. My bold prediction: Devin Booker scores more points than Steph Curry tomorrow night.
Do we want to put a friendly wager down on this?
Oh, I am ready to put a friendly wager down on it.
Okay, what we're going to do is next week, if Devin Booker does not score more points than Steph Curry, you got to wear Warriors gear on the show on Monday.
Done.
Boom.
Done.
And then I'll wear some Suns stuff. Give me some Suns gear.
I don't know if my stuff will fit you, but we'll find something.
Let's go. I would not even wear that schmedium because, Steph Curry's going off, baby. But right now, I'm looking at the spread right now. It's -2.5 Golden State Warriors going in this game. Kind of makes sense, right? I mean, even though the Suns are playing at home and they are riding just a 1,000-game win streak.
At home kind of surprises me that it's them favored, but screw you, Vegas.
It's gonna be an amazing game. And then producer Angelo back there is trying to say that's easy Suns money.
I'll throw down.
Easy now, easy. Don't make us bring up the New York Knicks. Angelo.
Bing bong.
Oh baby. If you don't know, producer Angelo, he loves his New York Knicks. He always tries to find a way to put this into the game, but you know who destroyed the Knicks? The Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, he's been real quiet since the Phoenix Suns beat the Knicks. And what I thought was just absolutely disrespectful is it was a back-to-back in New York for us. We had the Knicks one night, and the very next night we had the Nets. And the Nets have a better record than the Knicks, and so you'd think that Coach Monty would be trying to game plan around like, oh, it's back-to-back, we got to play the Nets. We were up like 20 points on the Knicks in the fourth, and we still kept our starters in. And I remember everyone on Twitter was like, "What's Coach Monty doing?" And it was just so funny to watch them. I think what Monty was doing, he was out Thibodeauing Thibodeau because Thibodeau won Coach of the Year last year when he didn't deserve it. It was Coach Monty's award, and also, we all know it. Producer Angelo.
But also, that like this is professional sports. Like there is no mercy rule at all. Like if you make it to the tippy top, destroy other teams.
Oh
like,
yeah.
There's no participant ribbons. You ain't getting this in professional sports. No. If you're out there, score touchdowns. If you're up by 1,000, keep some of your starters in. Like obviously, you don't want guys getting hurt, but this is professional sports. Feelings are gonna get hurt. And then if
Step
you're
on
gonna,
the throat.
Yeah, if you're gonna get mad, like Russell Westbrook just gotten mad, like I can't believe these guys are doing this when they're up like 20. No, like this is professional sports. You deserve to get beat down, and sometimes you're gonna have some horrible games like that, and sometimes you're gonna have guys that are shooting threes when they're up double digits late. Just let them do it. Final thing with the NBA, Enes Kanter. He's changing his name, baby. You thought the best name change in the NBA or in NBA history was Meta World Peace? Enes Kanter Freedom. Look at this man right here. He's legally changing his name to Enes Kanter Freedom today. And you know what else? He's going to become a U.S. citizen today. So welcome to America, Enes Kanter.
Welcome to the U.S. of A.
Oh, I love it. The guy's just been going off. Obviously, he's called out China. He's standing up for Taiwan. He tells LeBron, hey, maybe you should stop bowing down to dictator Xi and actually stand for real equality. Hey, Phil Knight, LeBron, MJ, why don't we take a trip on over to the labor camps out there where they're making your kicks? He's been calling them out like crazy, and he's been standing for freedom. You got to love it. Also, another thing with Enes Kanter is he's called for a boycott of the Olympics. We got the Olympics coming up in February in Beijing, and so much of what Enes Kanter has said, I am with you 100%, Enes. I think there's no reason that the United States of America should be out there in Beijing with all the atrocities that are going on, slave labor camps, everything that just happened with the pandemic, how China hasn't been held accountable whatsoever. This is what Enes Kanter had to say. China engages in censorship and threatens freedoms, and they don't respect human rights and hide the truth. Speak on it. I love it. While we speak right now, there's a genocide happening. Millions are in concentration camps. They're getting tortured and gang raped every day. You think putting Olympic Games in a country like this, it's unacceptable. I think he's spot on, and he's been spot on for months now.
And I have to agree with Enes Kanter on that. For all the reasons you just said, everything Kanter's just going off on China about, and what maybe I don't know if he's spoken specifically on the Wuhan virus that they released.
Yeah,
on
I don't
the
think
world.
he's really spoken on that too much, but I think that kind of like just goes without saying.
Yeah, and he has a very specific message he's trying to get out about China, so he's probably trying not to water it down. But that is a very important one to me. Of they released a virus onto the world, and they haven't paid for it at all. They haven't even been reprimanded by the world. Like, it's ridiculous, but we know why. And so I actually agree with him, and I kind of hate to say that because I'm in that small minority of I prefer the Winter Olympics over the Summer Olympics. I'm a snowboarder though. Shaun White is preparing for his 5th Winter Olympics. He's the most decorated snowboarder in Olympic history, and so I love the Winter Olympics. But I have a hard time. I can't find any way to disagree with Enes Kanter on this. The United States should be boycotting the Winter Olympics in China.
Yeah, and I know President Biden said, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, that it was still on the table, but there's just no way. The way that we've bowed down and not held them accountable, and other countries too, they're just going to go along with it. And even the fact that the International Olympic Committee gave China this Winter Olympics is 100% absurd. But we're going to wrap up with this. Also, before we wrap up the show, we appreciate you very, very much. We hope you had a very, very, very good Thanksgiving. We appreciate all the work that people do here. This has been so fun going live every single Monday morning. I know I didn't have Celsius this morning, so I'm trying to wake up with just water, which is so difficult. I need some Celsius in my life. We'll get the team together, and we'll make a grocery store run. But wrapping up with this, little Major League Baseball talk. There's been a lot of free agent signings. Gausman just got picked up by the Rangers. He had a great season with the San Francisco Giants. The Giants, I think, are going to they're going to finish third, I think, in the NL West. I think that's what's going to happen next year. Padres are going to be better because of Bob Melvin. Bob Melvin was a reason for the A's success over the past decade. So good. So I think Padres are going to be second in that division. Dodgers, I think, are going to win it. Giants are going to struggle because you can't repeat what you just did this last year. They could prove me wrong, but I know Gausman, that's going to be a huge loss for them. The Rangers pick him up. And then Marcus Semien, the ex-Oakland A, once again finished top 3 in MVP voting. He signed a 7-year deal with the Texas Rangers. Rangers are getting better, but
Rangers going all in, it seems like.
And then, and they're trying to go after Corey Seager, too. That's what we're seeing, right?
Yeah, no, they're chasing Corey Seager, and also they're not out of talks on Robbie Ray, but they've also been linked to Robbie Ray as well. So essentially the Rangers are going, you know what, like we want to win baseball games again. We want to compete for the championship. And so they're just pushing all their chips in the middle of the table, and I love it. I love when teams do that.
We got to figure out how to compete in the AL West because it's just the Astros. I mean, it's just been the Astros and A's going at it. The Astros are going to find their way because they're spending money.
Yeah.
And they just have a solid team, and they had a lot of young guys that they built up through their system. That's why they've been so successful. And also, too, they've been really successful because they got a lot of really loud trash cans. That's been huge. That's probably been their biggest pickup over the last 5-6 years. So
underrated. Well, I mean, if you're not from Texas, and I'm not from Texas, but I know some people from Texas, you got to understand too. There is a major rivalry between the cities of Houston and Dallas, and so the Rangers cannot love the fact that, and I'm not talking just sports wise. I'm talking people. Like Dallas and Houston. Those are that's water and vinegar. And so people from Dallas are going to hate the fact that they've been letting, Houston Astros just run rampant.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this new MLB season. But there's a lot of big sightings already, and it's only going to get crazier. Max Scherzer could be going to the Mets. The Mets just picked up Starling Marte. That pickup the A's had for Starling Marte, he was maybe the best pickup the A's have had at the trade deadline in a decade. It's been a long time. They usually have some pretty solid pickups at the trade deadline, and he just provides a spark. So I think the Mets are going to be solid. But a couple more things for you. Dickie V is back. So happy to see. Like, college basketball without Dick Vitale is just not as good. So I'm so happy to see him in that Gonzaga UCLA broadcast. I know he was crying before the game, and he is an incredible fighter. He's an incredible advocate for the game of basketball, and it was so fun to see with that. Another college basketball news is Duke is on some insane revenge tour. I hate to see it because I'm a Tar Heel guy, but they're 7-0. They beat Gonzaga, and they didn't make the tournament last year, and then now they're balling.
Yeah. Well, and for anybody who likes college basketball, there's two names that you need to get used to for this season. It's Paolo. He plays for Duke, and Chet. He plays for Gonzaga. Those are going to be two names that over the next few months you're going to hear a lot of. They are both absolute studs. They're the real deal, both of them. Chet is the next Slim Reaper, and Paolo. I mean, how can you just not root for? That's what I love about basketball, is people become famous for singular names. LeBron, Kobe. Paolo's the next one. I'm calling it Paolo. It's beautiful.
And we're going to wrap up with a couple more things. We're going to throw this up on the screen. Be more like J.J. Watt and less like LeBron. Look at J.J. Watt here. So he's going to pay for the funeral costs of the parade victims. And then even look at what he did with hurricane victims out in Houston. Look at what he's done representing Pat Tillman ever since he joined the Arizona Cardinals. Be more like J.J. Watt. The guy's got a heart of gold. He's an incredible football player, and he's not one of those people that is looking for some sort of clout here. He's not taking some crazy political stance.
No.
At always no. It's just, this was an absolute tragedy, and it was done on purpose. And what I'm going to do, I'm not going to just tweet some things out that might create even more division. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take care of these families, and then look it to the right. LeBron James, He got fined $15,000 for making an obscene gesture during the Lakers game. And that was right after, too. He kicked a couple fans out of the Pacers game. Like, I'm sure everybody is seeing that by now. He's like, oh, look at them over there. There's also unsubstantiated rumors that they said something about Bronny James. I don't believe it yet. Also, if that was true, why wouldn't LeBron just bring that up in the postgame presser? But what he did bring up was after he kicked a few of those fans out, when obscene gestures and language come into it, it can't be tolerated. And he goes and does that after.
Yeah.
He's grabbing his nuts, like, all the way down the floor. And sure, there's a little bit of, like, competitor in me that's just like, sure, you hit a clutch three, like, go off. But this was literally right after you kicked fans out and you're trying to say obscene gestures and language should not be involved in the game. And if you do that, it's going too far. Bro, come on. Stop.
Yeah.
It is like, LeBron just continues to tarnish his legacy week in and week out with his woke politics and his hypocrisy. He's ruined it because he's an incredible basketball player that's also done some pretty great stuff for the youth in Ohio. Like, the school that he built and everything for those kids. He's just a kid from Ohio. This is totally taken away from the good stuff he's done.
Well, and that's why, like you said, be more like J.J. Watt, less like LeBron. It's not that LeBron doesn't do any charitable work out there. The difference is with J.J. Watt, you're not also getting the just social media divisive arrogance that comes from LeBron James. JJ's just a humble guy, a dude who you can clearly tell just feels so blessed in his life, loves other people, and because of how blessed he is, he wants to give back. I mean, he's basically from Waukesha, and so that obviously hits close to home. Be like JJ,
Be like JJ Watt. Final thing, Cyber Monday and Monday Night Football preview. Cyber Monday, get a load of this Cyber Monday deal. I need your answer on this. For $1 million, you either have to have Steph Curry make a free throw or Justin Tucker to hit a 40-yard field goal. And don't think that there's like any crazy wind or anything like that for this Justin Tucker field goal. But before you answer, Steph Curry, his free throw percentage all time, 90.8. Tucker's career field goal percentage, 90.7. Who are you going for $1 million? Cyber Monday deal.
Steph Curry, final answer. There is just... I know you said no crazy wind or anything.
Perfect snap, perfect hold, everything.
I just feel like it's more likely for even the great Justin Tucker to shank a kick than it is for Steph Curry to miss a free throw. The man he's the greatest free throw shooter in NBA history. I mean, Steph.
Well, he's just automatic.
Automatic.
So I think I would go Steph. Like, it's close, but it's actually insane that it's a toss-up.
Yeah.
Because I had to think about it a little bit. But I would go Steph. Okay, finally, Monday Night Football preview. You got the Washington football team that has a toxic workplace environment that we're never going to hear about, I guess. Where are those emails? But we do know where Taylor Heineke is. He's on your radar now. He's looking good. He's had some big wins. They are playing the Seattle Seahawks. It's Seahawks -1 in the odds right now. You were saying that it opened up at -3.5. It's basically just like, Seahawks football team. I don't know.
Well, and what I love is the money line betting odds for both teams is -110, meaning Vegas themselves are going, yeah, we don't know. We have
always
no
know.
idea who's going to win this game. So we're literally, they're not even making them even. They're making it -110. So no matter who you bet on, Vegas is just trying to hedge their bets because they have no idea who is going to win this game. And I'm kind of with them. I really don't know. My heart is actually telling me Washington football team.
I'm going Washington football team. I think they're winning. Yeah,
I love it. And now tell me what you think about this. I know we're a couple minutes left. The over set at 47, and I actually like it. I think both of these defenses are pitiful enough. I'm taking the over.
I'm taking the under. I'm taking the under. I just don't think the Seahawks are totally inept on offense. They have no idea what they're doing, it seems like. Russell Wilson could find a way to come back and just be the old Russell Wilson in this game, but I'm taking the under. I think just Washington football team, they're going to run the time of possession. I think they're going to win, and it's going to be under.
Under. Do you have a score prediction?
Ooh, I think it's going to be Washington football team 25, and then Seahawks 17.
All right.
That's what we're looking at.
I'm going to say Washington football team 27, Seahawks 21.
Ooh, that would be a close game. All right, we're wrapping it up. We are so glad to be back. We hope you guys had a fantastic Thanksgiving. We love sitting here live. Monday mornings, wake up early, talk about sports, because, I love it. Go sports. Also, a couple things for you before we leave. Michael Chandler, I was one-on-one with him. It's an incredible podcast that is coming out this Sunday, December 5th. Make sure you check out all TPUSA Breakaway's social media channels. That's at TPUSA Breakaway on Instagram. Make sure you subscribe, like this stuff, comment, do all that good stuff. AmericaFest, TPUSA.com/AmericaFest. Promo code John, Jon, for 25% off. Brian, thank you, and thank you. We will see you guys soon.